much. I'm Officer Don with Fayette Commonwealth's Attorney Ray Larson. We're checking out LexingtonProsecutor.com this morning. You can do that too. It's the latest criminal justice news and views. It's a very interesting website. You make no apologies for your website.
No, it's very opinionated, and like I told you this before, some guy from Denmark reacted to some of the things that we say on our website, and he sent me this email. I hate your opinions. I hope you die.
Well,
so I sent back, because you always like to respond to emails, and I wrote back and I said, well, I guess we'll have to put you in the undecided category. And didn't ever hear from him again. But
well, yeah, I definitely think that he's probably, maybe he emailed you from some Denmark prison or something.
No. That's because I checked him out, and he was a Amnesty International guy, an anti-death penalty guy. So he can take that right, cram it.
Yeah.
We're doing something on here on our new website. A young woman named Larkin Walker is an intern from the University of Kentucky, and I suggested to her that she start doing something about pop culture and crime.
Now, why is that? Why do you think pop culture is the way to go here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's if you look at our website, we've got all sorts of things. You know, I've got a video blog where I'm relatively opinionated, and I say what's on my mind on that. We got Killers of Death Row. We got death penalty news. We've got In Touch that people are listening to right now are on there. You can click and go back and see all those shows. It's an outrage of the month. We got a lot of things going on, and the new one is going to be pop culture and crime. Now, do you have any idea what pop culture is?
I'm thinking Justin Bieber would be a good example. Is that part of what you're going to cover here? The Biebs? No?
Part of it.
Yeah.
But it's mostly young people and what they're tuned into. And this Larkin Walker is a young person. Of course, everybody's young to me. Even you, Officer Don, as you're letting your hair go silver. But here's kind of what we're talking about. You know, Philip Seymour Hoffman, a pretty famous Hollywood actor, died of an overdose of heroin. And here's kind of the question. Did it really take the overdose death of Philip Seymour Hoffman to wake up the mainstream media to the scourge of heroin, which is surging across America and is killing thousands and thousands of people? We're sorry about Philip Seymour Hoffman's death, but we're just as sorry about the deaths of so many young people who aren't well known to many people outside their family that also overdosed. Now, police and firefighters and prosecutors have known about the dangers of heroin for the last several years. Maybe with the media finally paying some attention to this killer drug, people will start to realize the life-threatening danger of this poison and avoid it altogether. Now, the mainstream media, CBS National News, which my wife watches, covered this guy, Philip Seymour Hoffman's death. And they started talking about heroin. Before that, nothing. Now, all of a sudden, it takes some famous person to tip over for the media to get with it. And the media attention is critical. Now, I don't know how many of these dopeheads are watching TV. They may be watching TV, nodding, and eating Doritos.
Yeah.
But
Well, the thing with the Philip Seymour Hoffman's an example. Yes, they do bring attention to it, but they almost make the reality of it is when they're gone, they treat them almost like they're a dead hero, like they've died fighting a battle or something. And you're like, listen, this guy was a heroin addict, and now their focus is going after the people that sold them the heroin, which certainly is appropriate, but this guy's not a hero. This guy,
he was a dope addict.
He was doing something illegal. He was doing something that he knew better, and as a result, he's dead, and that is sad. It's very sad. But it's just interesting to watch.
It's no more sad than
that's right.
Than the kid that of the 78 overdose deaths last year in Lexington.
And nobody, if you ask most of the folks in Hollywood what they think about legalizing marijuana, and some of them even cocaine, they would say, but they don't step back and take a look at the big picture here. I mean, the reality of it is, they're actually glorifying drug use, and they're making not such a big deal of it until something like this happens, but then they'll just go after the dealers and forget about the fact this guy was supposed to say. That's the reality of it. It's like, look, zero tolerance on doing drugs. That's the best way to ensure that your kids are not going to get involved in drugs. You can't tell them, well, it's okay to smoke pot, but watch it.
Okay, so this is part of this pop culture kind of thing. You see, dope use and abuse. Another thing I want to talk about is mug shots. Everybody knows what a mug shot is. It's what happens when you get booked into jail after being arrested. Now, we don't want anybody to be arrested, but if you do, you need to understand that your photo is going to be taken at the jail when you are booked in. These photos, as I said, are called mug shots. And if you didn't already know it, mug shots are like tattoos and AIDS. It's forever, because they remain on jail websites forever.
And they're public record.
That's right. So think about it. Your photo will be there for anyone to see forever, reminding you and all the world not only of your arrest, but how you looked at that time. And sometimes it's not a pretty picture. Since mugshots do seem to have a life of their own, many folks have chosen to turn them into glamour shots. Yeah. Well, others, of course, choose to do just the opposite. You think I'm kidding, don't you?
Now, listen, I often think when I see a mugshot, and I'm like, what? Gosh, what would I smile if I knew it was going to be on TV, or would I look?
You're damn right you'd smile.
I think, what would I do if I get locked up? What do I want my mugshot to be?
Yeah.
I've had that random thought before.
Well,
what about you? Would you smile?
Sure.
Okay, all right.
Paris Hilton knew what would happen to her mugshot. She's smart, and it's a glamour shot.
Yeah.
And what about Justin Bieber grinning at the camera? Yeah. Nicolas Cage was smiling. Mm-hmm. Lindsay Lohan, not so good. And I'm guessing if Nick Nolte could have a do-over of his mugshot, he might do something about his hair and look just a little different.
Well, he'd had a bad night.
Yeah, too late, Nick. Yeah. It's there forever, and when people think of mugshot, they think about Nick Nolte. Yeah. So now that's pop culture. Okay. Now what about the Super Bowl halftime show? Very interesting. What the hell does that have to do with crime? The crime was how much they charged for a 30-second commercial. Bruno Mars and his band performed at halftime of the Super Bowl when the Super Bowl was played.
Yeah.
My wife said to me, I wonder what he's paid for doing that. And I thought about it and said, I'll bet you he does it for nothing. And it turns out I was right. The Super Bowl pays him absolutely nothing. They do pay for the staging and the accommodations for his band, but no pay for the performance. And you want to know why?
Oh, the publicity.
Well, listen, here's the deal. At $4 million for a 30-second commercial, and he was on now. Of course, now he went from being, and there 115 million people in America watch the Super Bowl. So he went from most people not knowing about Bruno Mars to now everybody knowing about Bruno Mars. So of course, that's as you guys in showbiz say, that's a big gig.
Well, I am surprised that he does it for nothing, because Bruno Mars is already big. Prince did it a few years ago. He's already big. But that does surprise me. But I get it.
Well,
I would love to see his iTunes downloads for that night. I'm sure they can track how many people downloaded his music after watching the halftime performance. I didn't see the halftime performance. I got so disgusted with the game, I didn't even make it to halftime. But I do like Bruno Mars.
Well, you're a front runner.
What's that mean?
That means you're with your team, win or tie.
Yeah, I am.
You're
I can't
awful.
stand to see a beat down. I just can't stand it. So I was
Well,
done.
it was interesting.
Yeah. I was done.
Okay, one of the
Do you like Bruno Mars?
Yeah.
You like his music? I'm just curious.
Well, I don't know
Do you have
about
it on your iPod? Do you listen to it in the Honda?
Yeah, right. In
No?
the Honda.
Yeah?
The one of the things that I'll tell you what I like about Bruno Mars. He is a retro
Yeah, he is.
guy. He's got this band, and they all do the footwork, and they all do it in unison, like the great groups in the past, and it's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. And he had some rough times. He actually had a history, I think, of drug use and stuff too. But he sort of pushed that aside and cleaned up a little bit. He's got a much better image now than he had when he
Well, I'll
first
tell
started.
you, if you watched him, he did the James Brown, Michael Jackson footwork stuff, and pretty
No,
impressive.
he is.
Yeah. Okay, now I
I'll
want
have to introduce you to Justin Timberlake next. Just say.
Well, I
You
like
Bruno
Justin
Mars.
Timberlake. Yeah. Justin Timberlake is. He's a big deal right
He
now.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think of him as a super duper singer,
Really?
because he's kind of does all of
What do you
that
think?
falsetto
Like
stuff.
I like Justin
She likes
Timberlake.
Yeah, Allison and Officer Don are punking me here out there, folks. So tell them to get off my butt. I want to introduce you to the Urban Dictionary.
Okay. This is not going to get us in trouble, is it?
No.
You sure?
Well, I'm very careful about this stuff.
Okay. I
Because
have to
they
say
do
this.
some stuff.
The opinions of Ray Larson do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Officer Don.
Or Clear Channel Radio.
Because I don't know where he's going to go with this, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
The Urban Dictionary is really a great website of modern language of the pop culture and hipsters.
Mhm.
And what the hell's a hipster? Tell me what a hipster is.
No, I think it's a
You know
hipster is a wannabe.
everything.
It's a hipster is somebody who wants to be hip. That's what I think of a hipster.
I think hipster is
I want to be cool.
is
You got about a minute.
wears clothes. That are
Cool clothes.
well,
that's part of
they
wanting
think
to be
it's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Any rate, each what I want to do is give you a new word, and I'll try to do this each week. First word is date face. It's the facade of being a stable, normal, attractive, and healthy person on a first date. Similar to a game face for any difficult situation. And typically it will lead to a second date, but by the third date, it's gone. So the secret out there, crime fighters and hipsters, is to make your date face your permanent face. So that's it, and you're hooking me right now.
We'll see you next week on In Touch.